All right, I'm just setting things up here as per usual. All right, let's get this started. I'm not sure how long I will stream this session. Maybe it's just a short one. We'll see. Depends a little bit on outer circumstances. But yeah, so I might cut it short suddenly here. We'll see. But what I'm thinking I will do is, yeah, just do some random stuff. So last time we were working on a bunch of different things, and I believe we ended on the camera system. And I do think I have some more work to do there. Yeah, so I did add more smooth camera. But I think I want more things with the camera. So I want smooth camera. I think I should say when climbing ladders or when snapping to a ladder. But what I want as well is I want sort of a horizontal offset to which will mean that you will see more in the way the character is facing than not. So basically, if you turn left, the camera will shift a bit to the left, so you will see farther to the left. If you go or yeah, and then the other way around, the other way. So I want a sort of look ahead sort of thing, or I don't know really what to call it, but it's not really look ahead because that insinuates that you might not even see your character. I don't know, but yeah, I'll just call it. I mean, sure, look ahead. I don't like the name, but look ahead in the way the player is facing, or way, direction, I guess. Oops. Let's just say what it is. So like it's a horizontal offset in the direction the player's facing, and it's supposed to be like a small offset, so it's not like huge and jarring as well. Okay. Then I might do something with the vertical as well, like you have a sort of meta or semi-locked vertical, so that a lot of modern, I think, side scrollers have this, where the Y is sort of locked until you jump onto a platform, which then moves the camera up. I'm still not sure if I actually want to have that. I think I would have to try it out for a bit to see. But I think we're gonna experiment with that. So experiment with, I'm pretty sure I want this, but this one I'm not so sure about. So I'm gonna experiment with vertical locking until the player jumps on a different elevation. And of course, if the player is falling down, then of course the camera is gonna follow. But as long as, and I think this also opens up that the player is sort of always sort of at the bottom of the camera, so that you see a lot of things upwards. But that really depends on the level design. You know, maybe there's gonna be a lot of verticality up and down, and maybe this is actually not something that we want. I'm not actually sure. We'll see. But that is something that certain side scrollers actually do. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, anyway, so I just had to write that down so I don't forget it. And let's see. So another thing here is, yeah, this bug has been bugging me. So it's basically the issue also that you see often when I start after compiling the game. The physics engine actually runs a frame that is like several seconds long potentially, which, yeah, and it doesn't like divide it up into subframes in such. We do have sub-steps, but it's only like dividing the delta time in some number, like 8 sub-steps or something like that. But really what we want to do is we want to say basically if the game has a, so I've thought about this, and I think if the game has a delta time that is longer than a set amount, so we set like a maximum amount of delta time that we want to have for each frame, and let's say it's 60 FPS, so let's say it's gonna be whatever the number is, 16 or 17 milliseconds per frame, so it's like 16 point something. But so anyway, yeah, if the delta time is over that, then I want to sort of simulate a pause in the game for the rest of the time. So I'll simulate the maximum amount of time, and the rest of the time will be added to the paused time. So now we have like a paused timer, but what we can do is we can utilize that to actually cut off the last like delta time. If the delta time is like several seconds, it's only going to be like 60 milliseconds, and then the rest will be paused time. I think I'll start there and we'll see how that works. So we need to go to the game code and the update function. So here we get delta time in, and I think the only place we actually use it is the physics, yeah. So and then this goes into here. So what I think I want to do is I want to say the actual delta time or like simulated, I guess we could call it simulated delta time, is going to be the minimum of either delta time or whatever 60 FPS is. It's like 16 or 17 milliseconds. So it's like what is it? 1000 over. Whoops. What is like 1000 over 60? 16. Oh. Yeah, it's like 16 and 2/3. So yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Let's use that. So if it's like, so this is like the actual DT that we're gonna simulate. if this is more than a couple of seconds, we're gonna limit it to this maximum, and then the rest will be paused time. So we have to actually do pause the game if it's not already paused, I guess. So if the game do we have that? Pause that. Wait. Because oh yeah, so it's just when we unpause we increase. We don't really have a boolean to say that we are actually paused right now. Maybe we should have that, because we need to know if yeah, let's just add that. Is paused. Okay, and then here we set this to true, and here we set this to false. And here we say if we are paused, then wait a minute. Yeah, if we're paused, we don't really need to do anything, because this will already go into like this like the pause time. But if we're not paused, so yeah, if we're not paused, then yeah, then we want to count the remaining DT as pause time. So we want to say, and if simulated DT is less than the actual DT that we have, then we want to say that the pause time, we want to increase that by DT minus the simulated time. So yeah, what I want to achieve is that this is the simulated time is going to be 16 maximum, but if the DT is like 1000 or wait, but this is not in milliseconds, this is actually in seconds, so we need to divide this by 1000. So this is going to be this, I think. Yeah. Okay, so if DT is more than that, then that gets the difference gets added to the pause time. Yes, and then the actual T has less pause. So it's basically like you're pausing the game for that amount of time. Okay. Maybe we should have like a method for that. But let's see if this works, because it's easy to test. You can just drag the window around and it will actually, you know, simulate like a really long, because Raylib doesn't run, I don't know if it's Raylib or whatever it is, it doesn't run the loop until you release the window. So if I drag this around for a couple of seconds and I release, you can see everything disappeared because everything went through the ground. So obviously this didn't actually work. Okay, let me just go through this logic here again. So we get a DT which is like several seconds long. We get this one which should be minimum of this, so it should be like either DT is less than this, or we get let me just double check if it's actually seconds. It should be seconds. Yeah, that's seconds. So this should be, we could log this and see what it's gonna say. So let's do, let's log this. So let's log simulator DT, DT, and I guess we can load T as well. I don't know why I would, but whatever. And yeah. So this will only happen now when, you know, you have a extremely long frame. Well, if it's less than or more than oh, do we have a memory leak as well? Interesting. Okay, we'll look at that later. Okay, so here we can see simulated DT is this thing, and DT is like 1 second here. So that's 1 second. That looks like the first, you know, the initial frame that you get, maybe. Excuse me. So the idea is we take this value, we subtract this to get the actual paused time, and then we add that to the pause time, even though we're not paused. But that should then... Oh wait, I'm stupid. We're still sending in DT here. Okay. We need to send in the simulated DT. Okay, yeah. Now let's see if it works. So you can't really see what I'm doing here when I like test this, but I'm dragging the window around, and that will sort of pause the game, and then I release it, and now it actually works. So if you can see, if I go over to this monster and it's doing stuff, and now if I started to drag the window around, you can see it's paused in this sort of attack animation. If I release the window now, he's gonna do something there. So yeah, that seems to work. So now it's like, even if the sort of game loop is paused and the delta time becomes like huge, we still only simulate like the maximum, which is this one, which is like this is like 60 FPS. So now the game is actually running at maximum 60 FPS. Well, this update function anyway. Let me check if well, the actual FPS of the sort of Raylib is going to be not 60 FPS. Yeah, it's almost 1000 FPS there. Okay, cool. So we actually solved this. I wanted to solve this off stream, but I just realized that maybe I can just utilize the pausing feature that we already implemented to actually fix this, and that seemed to actually work. So cool. Yeah. All right, we have some other like smaller-ish issues as well, but let me see what we can do now. Let's see. Yeah, we did last time. We were working on like quests and the dialogue, and I think the dialogue anyway. Yeah, we did the pause thing. We did the menus, the quest log, some of it anyway. We did like just a bunch of random stuff on this to-do list here. Let's see. We also did not here. The camera. So the camera, maybe I should continue on the camera a bit to get it like at least a little bit better. So yeah, this one, horizontal offset in the direction that the player is facing. So it's basically you're looking in a direction and the camera is going to slightly offset into that direction. Now we did do a camera thing, which is this one. So we basically have two sort of modes to the camera. Either we're totally just snapping to the player, so the player is like instantly the camera has the same position as the player, you could say. Except it's like negative here because it's like mirrored, or not mirrored, but it's like, yeah, whatever. It's gonna center on the player. But yeah, I want to try a couple of different things. But yeah, if it's not centered on the player, then it is sort of having this smooth stepping thing that goes towards the target. If the distance is strong, so if the distance is like less than 3 pixels, then the camera is snapping to the player. But if the distance is longer, say the player like teleports or like climbs a ladder, which sort of teleports the player a little bit, then you get this smooth motion. So most of the time you're gonna see a snapping thing. Other times when you teleport or whatever, it's gonna smooth over to wherever you are. So that's sort of the basic functionality of the camera right now. But what I want to have is this offset, so when you turn to the left or right, it's gonna slightly offset into that direction, so you see more ahead than you see from backwards. And I want, of course, that to be also kind of smooth. So what I'm thinking is, instead of looking at the player center, we're gonna have a sort of target that we're gonna snap to instead. And that's not gonna be the player center. It's gonna be like the player center, but it's offset, and it's also gonna be offset in the direction that the player is facing. So we need to grab the direction of the player, which we can do like this. And then we are going to, let's see, I think we'll change, so this is the player center, but I think we'll have something new called the target. And the target will be player center plus the player direction, which we can then access. Let's get rid of this. That we can access to get to radians, which we can use to rotate a vector. So now we have a vector that we have. Well, this is not a vector. We have to actually. Yeah, rotate takes a vector and a radius, so, or the radian. So let's just do, now this is gonna be like the offset, so this is gonna be like only x, and then, you know, the horizontal offset, which we haven't defined, but let's do that. So let's say this, the amount of pixels that the camera will shift towards the direction. So let's just start with something 64, I guess. So now we have this target, so we'll use that instead of player center when we wanna calculate where to actually place the camera. So basically everywhere we're using player center, we want to use target instead. Okay. Now this, yeah, so this should be correct. So because if the direction is to the right, this 2 radians will be 0. Yeah. And if it's otherwise it's to the left, because direction can only be like left or right. It's like a super specific direction. It's only left or right. So if it's right, it's 0. Otherwise it's pi, which is 180 degrees. So this should probably work. Let's try. Okay, let me go over here. Don't. Oh yeah, I also really need to fix the camera. So you can see now when we like turn, it like moves the camera towards where we want to go. I would like this to be maybe a little bit faster. And also, you know, if I start to move, the player is like as fast as the camera right now. So the camera needs to be faster than the player, basically. Maybe it should be... I mean, either we could just increase the speed right off, or we could like take the player speed into account and just add the player speed to the camera speed. That sounds crazy. But let's just increase the speed of the camera, I guess. Which is gonna be this part, the maximum velocity that the camera can have. So let's increase that, I guess, a little bit. Okay. Oh yeah, I should fix that stuff as well. And now you can see, if I turn and continue to walk, the camera is eventually gonna be caught up. However, if we're gonna change sort of the speed of the player, we have this sort of combo thing. Yeah, the camera actually snaps now better. But this is sort of a teleporting motion now for the target of the camera. But this is not. So this is like a smooth motion. That's why it can snap to the player while doing this. Well, or maybe not actually. Wait. Yeah, there it snapped. But there it didn't snap. And there it didn't snap. Okay, that's weird. It's like sometimes it snaps, sometimes not. Okay, that was kind of strange. I'm not sure. It might be because we're close to the boundary, maybe. No, I don't know. But yeah, you could also have like a little area where the camera doesn't move until you're at a certain point, but I'm not sure if I actually like that. I don't know if I want the offset to be slightly larger or not. It might not actually matter. Maybe we shouldn't have this offset thing, because I mean, right now the screen is kind of... Maybe it depends on the size of the screen, how much you're seeing in the level at once. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm not... Yeah, I'm not sure if I like this actually, because you're already seeing so much of the screen anyway, so it makes more sense that the player is like in the center of the screen anyway. Okay, let's actually forget about that. So I mean, we could just set this to 0 and we won't actually have this thing. So I'll just I don't know. I mean, it's not really a hard thing to implement. Let's actually scrap this. I mean, it depends. If we're gonna shrink the screen size to better fit some like monitors or whatever, I don't know, then we might actually do this, but I think for now we're not gonna have it. So, but we could still use the concept of target, so I'm just gonna say the target is gonna be player center. Okay, and then this one is not used. Fine. Okay. Now, okay, so one thing that I want to do is on the screen transition, we want to set the camera. So this is going to be a special case where we actually want the camera to be snapped to the player on the transition. So where is the, let's update camera. So we want to set this camera position to be wait, transition. No. Yeah, we want to set this to be, yeah, we need to get the player, and we want to set this to be the center. So yeah, so now on on a transition, after we've loaded and restored state and everything, we grab the where is the player, and we just snap the player or not. Oh wait, it needs to be negative, right? Maybe actually we do it in load, but we don't want then this to be, yeah, we probably want to do it in load, but this one shouldn't then move the player. Yeah, let's do it in here. So now we should get it both at the start and at when we transition. Let's call this like center camera, or camera center on player. Now we need this. Okay. There we go. Now we don't get that weird panning thing. And we are snapping very well now. So another that we talked about the camera here is when you are at like a vertical position here and you jump, some side scrollers actually lock the vertical position of the camera, so that when you jump, it doesn't actually move at all if you just jump straight up. It waits until you've landed on like a higher elevation and then moves the camera up. But I'm not actually sure if I want to have that actually. It sort of depends, I guess, on the level design maybe. Some games have like the screen doesn't actually go up or down because the level doesn't ever go that high, or if you want to go that high you're actually gonna transition into another scene or screen. But I think I want to have this high elevation that you can go up and this high, but then when you, yeah, it's like when you go like this, it's not actually gonna jump or show up and down the whole screen. I don't know. Maybe it's better to actually lock it though. I can try. I mean, that was the whole experiment thing. So let's actually try and implement that, and we'll see if that feels better. Let me do this. Okay. I'll just note that down. Okay. So how would we do that? That means basically the Y position of the camera is not gonna change until you've landed on a new elevation. So it basically means we need to keep track. Well, I guess, yeah, we need to keep track on what elevation you're currently sort of locked into. And then when you land on a new elevation, that's the new sort of elevation that's going to be sort of the target. So yeah, 1 second here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it like that. It's sort of, I wanna do the simple thing first. So this is gonna be like the camera elevation target, maybe. Current, I don't know. And it's just gonna be a float. We'll set it to 0 to begin with. And then the target is gonna be, well, it's kind of more complicated, because let's say the player starts to fall. Okay, we'll take that into account later, I guess. We'll say the target is gonna be the X component of player center. But then we need the elevation. Okay. That's gonna be the target. So when it's 0, it's like in the middle of the screen, or in the middle of the level, I guess. So now we need some way to actually update the elevation, because now the camera should be like in the center of the level, but it's following the player all the time in the horizontal plane. And here you can see it's in like the center, and then when we go far enough to the right, it starts to move. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to know when the player is like landing. So here we're landing, and actually I want to check, do we set that somewhere else? No, we don't. So this is basically when we're landing, and we can basically just say camera elevation is going to be equal to, let's just take the player body, if we have, no, we don't have that. Or we do have it, actually. We'd have it in the non-static. That's the equal to the player in this case. And we're gonna grab this and the center. So, or actually, should we do bottom? Yeah, let's do bottom. Okay. So now the target should basically be at the player center, except it's like the bottom now of the player instead. And there we go. Oh, you can see it changed quite drastically there. Why did it not do it smoothly? Interesting. And this is not, let's rename this. This was the target. That's very interesting. It just snaps for some reason. It shouldn't actually do that. Yeah, the target. So now we're not carrying this. We're carrying out this. Oh, but when we're transitioning, we set the position. All right. Also, When we transition, yeah, okay, so when we transition now, or not transition, when we load, we should, this should also take into account the elevation as well now. So the elevation should be set to whatever thing we want to update to. We're gonna set this to bottom, and then the position is gonna be, so we probably need like a function for this, so we don't use a bunch of different algorithms. But let's start here. Let's just do get camera target, and this one requires, I mean, let's just pass player body in here, I guess. Oh yeah, and we also need, of course, this. So it's gonna be this. This is a vector. Alright. And now this is gonna be get camera target, game, player body. No. Sorry. Game dot get camera target. Oh my god, I'm so butterfinger there. Okay. This one, oh, it's X and there and then there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, and then let's also do get camera elevation, like get new, I don't know what to call it really, but this is just gonna be player body ABB bottom, which is a F32. And we don't need game for this, but let's actually have it anyway, so it becomes, it's like consistent. So this would be get camera elevation. Yeah. Okay. And then we can use the same thing in has landed. So we'll do this. We'll do game get camera elevation. And we don't have player body. So we can just do all right, let's just do this, and we'll actually grab it like this here. Okay, and we don't need to put that in. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. So this one, it gets the camera elevation there. Okay, so now we're using the same thing. We also need it in upper camera. So here we're getting the target. Oh, I think target. And this is not used anymore. And this is okay. Nice. So the target was, we say it's negative here. It probably should not be negative, I guess. Oops. Because when we use it here, we negate it there. So yeah. All right. Oh, but okay, now this doesn't work. But it seems the elevation worked, at least. The elevation thing. Should probably also... Yeah, there you can see. It sort of works. Okay, got a couple of issues there. So... Why is it like teleporting the camera? That should not happen. We're checking for the distance here. If it's like... yeah, if it's too much, it's gonna go into a smooth motion. So I'm not sure why it snaps, actually. Oh, it snaps here. Oh, right, because we wanted the smoothness to not affect the Y position. Let's not have this. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a super weird snapping thing there. There we go. That looks a bit better, I guess. Except when you're climbing, it should like... yeah. It should follow the player, I think. It shouldn't like wait until you're... Also when you're falling. So, a couple of like... things here. So when you're climbing, I think it should always sort of follow the player. When you're falling, it should also follow the player. And I'm not sure if we should have like a lenience. Like, should it really change the elevation every time you jump? Or should it be sort of... what's it called? Compartmentalized into a larger sort of grid. Maybe. Not sure. So when you like get up here, it's gonna also sort of scroll. So what we want is maybe increase the target. The target's gonna go up a bit so that the camera does not show so much at the bottom. We could do that as well. Here we have the target and the elevation. So the elevation is now we can set this here, so we can say it's going to be the bottom of the player, but then we also want it to be plus sort of the screen size. It doesn't have anything to do with screen size. It's basically I want to have is maybe have like up to sort of 3 tiles maybe at the bottom or something like that. 3 tiles. And that's gonna depend on the screen size, I guess. Or yeah, is it gonna depend on this? Yeah, it's gonna depend that, like, it's the center of the camera we're talking about. So depending on the height of the screen, it's gonna have a different center depending on the thing. I think. Wait. So you take the height of the screen and you want the bottom like sort of 3 or 2 or 1 or whatever tiles visible. That means the camera has to be at the center or bottom of the player, but then up. I'll try to picture this in my head and it's not okay. Maybe I should like draw this. So wait, yeah. Okay, so what I'm thinking is like this. You have elevation here, you have the player here, and this point is the bottom of the player. Let's say this, I want this to be sort of the boundary. And that means the center has to be like up here. It's not really the center, but you get what I mean. Sort of up there. So it's like, yeah, it's like this size is 1 tile, let's say. It's very low resolution here, but this is 1 tile. Okay. So this, so we know what this will be is like half. This is screen height over 2. So this thing is gonna be the screen height over 2 minus 1 tile. Okay, yeah. So we'll take the bottom of the player minus this, or I mean minus this, to get to the where we want the center to be. Okay. I think it makes sense, at least to me. Let's go back to the thing. So the elevation is gonna depend on the screen size, or at least no, yeah, I think we'll put it here and we'll see. I think we'll probably need it somewhere else as well, but let's grab the screen and we'll get the screen height, so the screen size half, and then the Y component. Okay, and then we want, let's do Y offset, I guess. So it's the screen half size minus 1 tile. So this is the tiles, the Y of the tile size. But this is not scaled, so we need to scale it as well. Okay, so now we should have the length that we need to offset, and the bottom is going to be negative offset there. So now it's going to be 1, oh wait, this is wrong, right. Now that's gonna be like 1 tile size times the scale. So if we want to increase the number of tiles that we want to see at the bottom, we should scale that by some number. Okay, now this screen is already like, within the boundary, so we cannot actually change the Y elevation here, but this one we should be able to do. There you can see it goes to the bottom of that, and when we fall and land, it's changing the elevation here. Okay, and then up here is gonna change the elevation there as well. Okay. It felt kind of slow. Oh yeah, because it's already at the boundary, so it's... yeah. Okay, so a couple of things then. Like here. If I stand here and then jump up here, it's not, I don't think that's going to be far enough for it to actually change elevation. So I think I want to add like a sort of threshold to where it actually starts to change the elevation. Probably somewhere when you're jumping like to the middle of the screen or something like that. So that's going to be, let's count how many, that's going to be like a couple of tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say sort of 7 tiles or 8 tiles maybe. Or 7 or 6 or something. Let's do 6 tiles. So if the new elevation is not more than 6 tiles higher, then we don't actually change the elevation. So we could include this here. Let's say new elevation is this, and then elevation, revelation. So if hang on 1 second. Okay, so if so we'll do some sort of threshold, I guess, which is like 6 times y component of tiles of times scale. So that's 6 tiles in height. If the current elevation is less than or equal to let's say plus threshold is less than or equal to the new elevation, or I guess less than or whatever, that means we're above the threshold for the new elevation, so we should change the elevation. Elevation, yeah. Okay. I guess this should be like set now instead of get, and we don't actually return anything. And new camera elevation, we can do set now instead. Yeah. Okay. Now this only works for jumping upwards, so whoa. Okay. Okay. Oh, so it was below the threshold, so it didn't actually change. So we need a way to actually force it, I think. Also, I don't know. This is starting to become. Oh, it doesn't actually change it up here. maybe this is. Wait, the threshold. Oh, it should be minus, maybe. Minus. Wait. Yeah, because the elevation, as we are going up, the elevation should shrink, right? So it should be, if this minus this is more than the elevation, right? It shrinks, so I mean, yeah. It shrinks, and then if that is more, yeah, I think so. My brain always gets like twisted up when we're trying to do when you go from like negative to positive, or I mean positive to negative or whatever. There we go. Now it changed it when we were like different enough. So we should probably do some sort of absolute here. Or maybe not absolute. Let's do and camera elevation plus threshold is less than view elevation. So we should have for both sort of ways. Let's add a bool here, or I mean, yeah, force. If force then we just set this to that and return. Okay, this is getting a little bit convoluted here. We don't force it here, but we do want to force it on this one. Yeah, it's getting a bit messy here, but also this first initial thing does not actually work. Why is it so far up now? And also it doesn't change. Wait. It should be or here. Yeah. Maybe the maybe the threshold should be more like 4. Okay, there we go. That changed it. And then when we jump down, it also changes it. Yeah. So the fact that we're looking at the bottom of the player here, we should then realize maybe there should be different thresholds. So when you're going down, it should be different threshold. Maybe it should be like 1 threshold. I think you should always see at least 2 tile size down. And then threshold up is this, and threshold down is like 1. So this should be threshold up and this down. Okay. Yeah, now we see 2 tile rows sort of down, and it didn't. Okay, so there it changed it, and there it changed it to go up, and here we can sort of, you know, go over like this, and there it goes up there, and then when we fall down it's changing as well. And there it changes. It should change here as well. Like if you go now, when we go down here, it should go down as well. Maybe it shouldn't actually have a threshold on down, actually. It should always... Let's say 0.5. So once you land, it should actually change always. Now it should change, right? Yeah. Okay. Nice. So, okay. So a couple of more things now. I'm not sure if I like the downwards thing, but I want to do is basically this is gonna disappear sort of, because if the player is always sort of at the bottom of the screen, almost, except when climbing, I think, then you want to see, well, we'll see how we do it with climbing, but then we want to see that actually we don't need to calculate these. I mean, it's probably going to be optimized that way anyway, but then we're going to see, what was I talking about? I don't know. Let's do a couple of things. What we want to do first, we want to have when you're climbing. So I kind of think I like this new camera actually thing, but I wanna do some things. I want to say, if we're climbing, then we always want to force the new elevation. So let's actually add that here. So we'll grab, I think maybe in here. We also want to grab the player component, and we want to say if the state is climbing, then we should just say set new, and we force it. Okay, so now when climbing, it should always like follow the player. Also, we need to fix this initial camera thing as well. There you go. So it actually follows the player around now. And I'm not sure, when you're climbing down, you should probably have... I'm not sure actually. Maybe it should be a threshold as well. So when you start to climb up here, it shouldn't like follow the player. It should follow the player after a certain threshold. But then you need... Maybe we should lower the threshold when climbing? No. Or maybe we should actually. You know what? Let's do this. And I would say the component. We'll grab that on here. So here is gonna be like threshold up times. It's gonna be if we are climbing. That's gonna be like 3. Otherwise 6. Okay, I have no idea if this is good or not, but we'll try. Whoops. So this is this. Okay. I am false. So now at least when we're climbing, we're actually updating the elevation, so we don't need to land in order to update the elevation. Okay. Okay, no. Yeah. Okay. That was bad. So yeah, maybe we should just center the camera when we're climbing. Actually, if we're climbing, then we get the center of the player instead of. But then it's also gonna be bad. I think. Oops. Well, we could do bottom, I guess, or center bottom. What is it called? Wait, why am I not getting this? No, player border. Center bottom. No, what is it called? Bottom center. But that's good. No. Yeah, okay. We'll see what that does. Yeah, it actually changes really weirdly now. I mean, this is fine. I want to see more at the bottom when climbing, but it's like when you go from, it shouldn't like, it should, maybe it should depend on if you're climbing up or not. But let's fix another couple of things. So we'll leave that for now, and we'll fix sort of, if you're falling down, it should follow the player. Like the player shouldn't like fall out of the camera. So let's also not have this. Okay. So if you're falling down and you are sort of at a bottom, but then you wanna actually see the center though as well, right? Like you don't wanna fall down and not see anything where you're falling. That's gonna be annoying. So I think maybe once the player reaches the bottom, it's gonna have, and you're falling, it's gonna have to like center the player, I think. We could do that. We could check if we are actually falling. So we could do that. We could check here if the... So we could grab the player component. Because we have... if we're on the ground. So if we're not on the ground and we are falling, but that means that whenever we jump and we start to fall down, it's also gonna change the thing. Man, this is kind of tricky. How would you know that? I mean, I guess if you're falling and you're falling like below a certain point, maybe. Like you're falling below the threshold downwards. Yeah. If we're not on the ground... Maybe this shouldn't actually be in here, actually. We should probably have this like in up the camera. Yeah. Or maybe get target. Yeah. So here it's like if we're climbing we do this, otherwise we grab the camera elevation, but we don't want to do that if we're falling below a certain threshold, then we want to like show more of the bottom camera. So let's say I guess if the let's do get camera elevation. And we'll do all this. But we don't have a force. We do have threshold. So then we return here, we return new elevation, otherwise we return this. Or no, wait. We want to calculate the new one. We don't want to have a threshold here. Elevation. Did I say elevation? Okay, and then this is now the new elevation, which is get new camera elevation. Okay. And now we can use this here, so we can grab that. And we could say if we're reaching like below the elevation that we have, so if the new elevation is, yeah, it's gonna be more than camera elevation. So it's like it's the other way around because it's a y coordinate on the computer screen. Then we should, I guess, center at the player. Okay. Okay. Let's try it. and that initial thing we should really fix as well. Okay. So yeah, that looked a bit weird. If we go up here, this is the new elevation. Whoa, 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 whoa. Interesting. Okay. So now this should be the new elevation here. And then we jump down, it should like show. It's a bit slow to act there. But it's sort of working, but it's, yeah, not really. I think it's partly because the new elevation isn't set, I think. If we have a new elevation, we should probably just set that as well in that case. Maybe this is becoming a lot more complicated than it has to, but I think cameras can be quite tricky though. Yeah, I should probably rethink this whole thing. I think we're probably on the right track with having some sort of elevation. But it becomes a problem managing this stuff. So, if we're thinking about the responsibilities of this update camera simply grabs the target. This is the target that we need to go towards. So that, I think, makes sense. And then either we are snapping to it if it's close to what we already have, or if it's way off, we are smoothing to it. And then we are also bound by the boundary of the level, or the camera, I should say. Camera boundaries. But then it's these intricacies where the elevation gets updated sometimes. Should we update the elevation in here? In that case, new elevation, maybe. Elevation. It's like one of those words where you repeat it. Well, I guess almost all of those words are like that. If you repeat a word long enough, it's gonna sound really weird. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This also feels a bit strange. Maybe it shouldn't follow the actual. Maybe it actually shouldn't follow the player. Because I'm thinking, like, maybe it's just. Maybe it should have like certain areas that it does things differently. Like if you have a really long ladder, but if you only have ladders that goes like this, it's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter if you don't. If it doesn't change the elevation once you're up, or until you're all up to the top. However, if you're going down, that's another. That's like the whole issue with these ladders is, if you're going down from here, you should really see what's going on, right? Also, this becomes an issue here. Now, we move up here. We move down. Now this plane is the new elevation here. But once I drop below it here, the camera is doing that. So, but now it doesn't do that because the elevation is set to the bottom here. But once I do this, it's gonna, or I need to go all the way to the top here, set the new elevation there, and then that becomes the new. So I'm not sure. I mean, also in the game, normally when you're doing things like this, you sort of, either you can duck and it like shows the bottom, or the right stick sort of moves the camera around a little bit. Maybe that's the way to do it. Like the right stick actually changes the camera, and then it's always sort of centered, or at least like it is now. Maybe that's better, instead of having this weird elevation stuff. But I'm not sure. I don't know if I like this better, or if it matters if the screen like goes up and down in this case. It feels, I mean, it does feel a bit smoother than it's like this. But then you get these whole other problems with this camera system here that you need to fix. Yeah. Why can't I do the fast attack? I can't do the fast attack anymore. What? Okay, that's a bug. I need to write that down. Cannot do two combo attack. Two attack combo. Or whatever it's called. Okay. Okay, I need to figure this initial thing out. So, load, center on player. This doesn't work. Camera position. Oh, this needs to be negative. There we go. I think this probably solves the issue. Okay, yeah. There we go. Except there it's a bit weird. Oh, it's because we're actually not spawning at the level of the ground. We're spawning like slightly above. So it sets the elevation, and then we sort of fall into the elevation. Maybe... Okay, maybe we'll do it like this. Maybe when you fall, there should also be a threshold, and the threshold is gonna be like, I don't know, 2 tiles, and then we set this threshold, let's see, no, the offset to show, I guess, let's show 3 tiles, and then we're gonna have a threshold here, which is like, if it's more than this, plus, and then it's gonna be like, oh fall threshold. So let's do 2 tiles, or maybe it's 1.5. No, let's do 2 tiles. Tile size times game. Fall threshold. Okay, so we're only doing this if we're falling below the threshold. Now this becomes even more convoluted, but we'll see what's gonna happen. Okay, there you can see it actually changed, even though it changes when... Okay, so now we don't actually need to have 0.5 as a threshold downwards. Let's see. Yeah, downwards we can have, I guess, 2 as well. If we're seeing like 3 tiles, you have to fall, or is it 1.5? Yeah, we'll see. There you can see the camera didn't move here. It should move. Okay, yeah, it moved there. Cool. And then we go up here. Okay. And then we go up here. And we go down to this elevation. And we fall here. It doesn't do it anymore. But we fall here and it should really show more at the bottom there. Yeah. Also, I don't really like the climbing thing. It's like too much going on when you climb. And it like snaps back once you're done climbing. Maybe we should like see. Okay, this is it's getting way too complicated maybe, but maybe when you're climbing, the camera shouldn't go below the threshold you're gonna be at. If you would stop at this point, like at the bottom of the ladder. So we could grab the bottom of the ladder and have that as the new sort of elevation that is going to be the thing. So actually, we could actually do that because we do have the ladder entity. And what we could do is we could say which elevation, like which body are we talking about here. So let's actually add a body component here, or yeah. Okay. Wait, but we're not looking that up. And this is going to be the body. And so we're gonna pass in the body. Well, actually, no, this should actually have that logic in it, I think. So we need to check. Wait. Let's actually check here. Are we climbing? No, switch. Oh my god. Wait. Okay. Play components. Switch on state. If we're climbing, we will look at what's happening. Something here. Yeah. So yeah, we got the ladder. This is the entity. So we want to grab the ladder body. Do we have that? No. this is going to be rigid body from ladder. Okay, so if we've got this ladder body, we're gonna have that as the body that we're like talking about here. So let's do elevation base, I guess. And this needs to be now an sort of expression here. And we can grab the body ladder and then say ABB bottom. Else we are grabbing the game body. Actually, we could do entity instead. So this is going to be ladder, otherwise it's going to be player. Okay. And then this is going to be elevation body, base body, and then this is elevation base entity. Okay. So now, if we're climbing, the elevation that we're interested in is the bottom of the ladder. Okay, we'll see how this goes. So let's see. Okay. It's still sort of not the same, really. Oh, because when we're climbing, okay, yeah. When we're climbing, we have special case here, so let's actually not have this special case. Where is this? Here. So I think we will now do this. So if we're climbing, we're just gonna show the same thing, but the elevation is gonna be determined the yeah, that's the thing there instead. Such a lot of things you can do with the camera. It's very interesting. Okay. And now when you reach the top, it's gonna go up. Okay, that's fine. Except if the like if the ladder is long enough. You can see here, now this is nice because when you start to climb down, it's showing the bottom. Okay. And if you fall, yeah, we really need to fix the falling thing. But there, it looks good. And the same thing here. It's like it's showing the bottom here. You go up, it goes up. If you go down, it shows the bottom. That's nice. And now when you do this, it doesn't actually change. Except when you get up here. So I think actually maybe there should be a switch when you reach, maybe when you reach the center of the screen, it's gonna start following the player maybe. Until you reach the top, and then it's gonna like show everything else. Maybe that's the play here. And we need to fix the fall. So I think this actually works really good now. I want to go over to... We don't have any ladders over here, but I want to go over and test. Also, yeah, why is that working? We don't have verticality here. No, the ducking animation also doesn't stop the attack animation. But here we do have verticality. Oh, this looks weird. Alright, because... Huh. Yeah. This doesn't actually show like enough downwards until you move down. Okay, let's see what more we can do here. Okay, I don't know. I'm feeling. We might have different modes based on the. Yeah, this doesn't feel good at all. But we don't have good falling mechanics for this yet. So it's like, yeah, I want to see the bottom, but I can't. But I'm looking at mainly when you go up. I think it feels kind of weird that it's like going up like that. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense when you have a very long vertical. I don't know. But somehow it feels better in the town, I guess, when you have these planes, sort of, that are kind of sectioned off. Like each plane feels like its own section, so you want to focus on one section at a time. So here it actually feels, it makes a lot of sense to have it like this, I think. Maybe. It's different also when you don't really know what's coming up. In the village, it's also like, yeah, there's nothing here that can hurt you, so you don't really care too much about that. You just want to go where you want to go and do what you want to do. So maybe that's why it feels a bit different as well. Yeah, maybe we can just, you know, we'll add this, the right stick as a camera movement. And we'll see how that feels. Because that should make it maybe better. So what I'm thinking there is we can basically, well, we want to have a little bit of dead zone for the stick, so we could do stick offset. Now this is going to be a vector, so this is going to be axis, movement, and yeah, we're gonna grab this. This is x-axis, y-axis. Wait, no, left. This is gonna be right, the right stick, x, and then y. It's gonna be y. Okay. What's happening here? Oh yeah. Let's do this. And then this one will be x-axis and y-axis, and we'll just times that by something. Let's do like this is gonna be like pixels, so, and I believe this goes from like 0 to 1. So let's say we can do like 3 tiles, or maybe, I don't know, the 3 tiles maybe too small. Let's do like, I don't know, 10 tiles. 10. We're gonna grab one of the components here. And whatever we return, so let's make, I guess we can make a block. And we'll say target is this. Target. I wonder if you can. No, that was stupid. Stick offset. Stick offset. Okay. And it might need to be like negated or whatever, but we'll see. Okay, so nothing's happening here, but that's to be expected. Okay. Wow. I mean, it works. It's there's no threshold, but there doesn't seem to be any jittering or whatever. But that's, I guess, yeah, that should solely depend on the type of controller and drivers and stuff. But let's add a little bit of dead zone. Let's do like, I don't know, 20%. And what we then do is, I believe this is gonna be a bit weird, I guess. I think we wanna check if the length of this is more than the dead zone, and let's make this mutable, and if it is, or if it's not, I mean, then we set it to 0. Okay, so we do great. Yeah, it still feels very. No, I don't think that did it. Oh, because it's scaled and stuff. So we should do this. Yeah. Now this is gonna be like stick scale. We'll take this and we'll do this now. Otherwise, stick offset. It's gonna be times equal stick scale. Oh, we can put it here, I guess. Whatever. I don't think it matters. Yeah, I think there is a dead zone now, but it feels like it's non-existent to the left, to the negative parts maybe. Up and down feels, or up and right feels like it works, but down and left there's still, whatever. We're looking at the length, so it shouldn't be. No, maybe it's just my imagination, I don't know. But yeah, it's way too much, at least in some directions, I guess. Like up, we already see way up, so we shouldn't even be able to see that much up. But I think when you want to look down, it's nice to be able to do this. But it's a little bit too much, I think. So let's do like, I don't know, 6 or 5 or something. But I think we want to limit upwards though. So I don't think we're actually gonna allow to see up at all. So the upwards axis is actually gonna be like limited here. I think upwards is gonna be negative, I believe. Where is it? Positive. I don't know. But if, let's say it's negative, then that means we need to grab the maximum of this at 0. So now we can't look up with that thing. It should probably be something else, you know. Yeah, now we can't look up, so good. And yeah, but now we can sort of change the camera however we want. And yeah, okay, so now I want to fix the dropping thing. So when we're up here, it should really show a lot more to the bottom. Maybe even the issue is how far. Like if you're going down here, it just shows a little bit because that's, you know, that's the bottom of the thing. Yeah, because you don't want to set the player to be at the center of the screen, because then when you land, it's gonna snap sort of up again, the camera. But you want to be able to see down, but then it's like, where should the camera stop then is the question. I mean, I guess it could just go all the way down. And then that will become the new elevation. So we'll center the player. The new elevation is whatever the player's in the center is gonna be there. Okay, I'm not making sense when I'm talking here, but in my head it maybe it makes sense. One second, I'm just gonna check something here. What's this? Okay, whatever. I'm getting scammed on Steam here. Block. Okay, I thought maybe it was someone I knew, but it was not. Okay. Okay, whatever. Let's see. What am I doing here? But yeah, the camera controls, that feels nice to be able to move the camera with the stick there. Yeah, I think we can get rid of this thing. However, no, wait. No, let's get rid of that. Yeah. That's not gonna happen. Okay. Well, it might happen if you're already at the center of the screen. But yeah, anyway. It's like you want to check who wins, the player position closer to the center of the screen or above like a certain threshold on the ladder. And then, but if you're going down though, you want to see the bottom as well. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Let's just keep it like this and we'll see how we can improve. I mean, this also sort of depends on how the game will play, like how the design of the levels will be and stuff like that. So maybe I shouldn't even bother with this part. I'm just thinking this is an interesting problem that I've sort of neglected all the time. So I thought that, okay, maybe I should just do some stuff with this. Maybe this is not actually the time to do it because it feels like some areas of the game actually this feels quite nice to have, but then it's sort of fine-tuned to that area, but then in the other area it felt really weird. It felt like the camera was moving too much or too little. So yeah, I don't know. To me, it didn't actually bother me that much that the whole screen actually moved because I'm sort of used to that thing, that whole screen moves when you're jumping thing. That's kind of like old school. But maybe, yeah, maybe it's not. I don't know. So whatever. I'm gonna keep it like this, but I wanna fix something. I wanna fix this fall thing. So it's weird to me that the center of the player does not make the camera move more. But I think the issue here is that, well, the camera doesn't move fast enough. It should sort of, if it's way off, it should move faster, I think. So we could lower this to something more reasonable and see how that feels. No, that feels way weird. Why is it not going to the center of the player? Oh, because we're updating the thing, I think. Because we're updating the elevation. We shouldn't do that. We should not update the elevation, I think. In here. It should just update when you land, I think. So, but then that becomes super weird, yeah. Yeah, this feels very strange. Okay, but that drop actually did kind of make sense. But this sort of feels nice when you have a long plane like this. It doesn't move the camera up or down just because you're like, there might be more things to look at above. That doesn't feel... Oh, okay, I see. It doesn't update it when you're climbing either. We should we should set the new elevation to be at the bottom, I think, when you're climbing. When you are climbing. I guess we do have a thing in thing. If we are climbing, what should we think about here? We have camera elevation here. We should probably take climbing into account here then, right? We want to update the camera elevation. Yeah, so we can do this if... Well, we probably want to do this outside. We probably want to do this in update camera instead. So I think we want to do it here. We want to say if we are climbing, we want to set new camera elevation, and forcing is probably not necessary. Aren't we checking? No, forcing is not necessary, but yeah. So we don't need to force because it's basically always gonna do it anyway. I'm not sure if we should force there or not. It kind of feels like those old school games now when you climb, you get to a new section, it goes into the new section. You start to climb down, you get to that section. Yeah, that feels very old school actually. It feels like maybe, I don't know. And as I said, maybe I'm wasting my time here because I don't really know how the level design is going to be. Well, I know that this level should be like this, I guess. Well, it's not really a level, it's just a village. Well, it's probably going to get redesigned anyway, but... Okay. Well, I played around with this a little bit and... let's just go over to the other area and see how it feels a little bit over there instead. Or as well. Okay, this combo attack bug really... so I want to use it here. Let's just skip through this. So here, when you enter, it should go down, but it's not. And I think that's because we come in at a different elevation. So we should see like 3 tiles down. I'm not sure why it's only showing like 2. And then when we fall below it goes down. Okay. So here we're climbing up. So here I believe, to me, it would make sense. Also, it kind of glitched out there. Oh, because it's... Yeah, and here we are at some sort of weird, like, limbo area. So... this feels kind of weird that it doesn't like go up here. Maybe the threshold should change. Maybe it shouldn't be like 6. Maybe it should be like 3. But then it's like every time you jump it's gonna change. Maybe that's better though. Yeah. Let's change it to 3. Now I want to try this both in the village and also in oh, that was weird. Yeah, this area is kind of weird because it's like it has a little bit of leeway. It doesn't actually even out the tiles, so you can move this around. That's really weird. Okay, so I think this feels a little bit better actually. Maybe we should be super conscious about the camera. Like each area is gonna have to like specify how the camera should work in that area. I don't know. And we're probably gonna have some sort of special places where the camera sort of targets something specific. Sort of like when a boss or something, some weird thing appears at one end and you have to escape or something. It's gonna show that thing for a while, and maybe it like always shows it, so when you're running towards one end it always shows the monster, so you can always see it even though you're far away from it. That's, I mean, but that's just, you know, a special type of camera. This is more like the generic camera. So it's like, I'm just trying to think back to games like Hollow Knight or whatever. When you have something like this and you wanna, well, it makes sense if you're going this way, sort of. But if you're going downwards, it should really like move this down. I don't see what's beyond here, so I have to move my... I mean, at least I can use the stick here, and then you get something weird logo here as well. I don't know, something feels very weird about it. Sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. Maybe we should just scrap this whole thing. Just keep like, yeah, the player is at the center and that's it. We don't have any weird elevation thing going on. It just feels like there's so many edge cases that can come up. We can just design the levels to look better with the camera, I guess. I mean, maybe there could be like different types of scenes. Like you can have one scene which we have, which is just, you know, left to right or right to left or whatever. No verticality. That's just fine. You can just center the player or there. But then you have like both vertical and horizontal scenes like we have as well. And maybe in those scenes we do something different. I don't know. Maybe it's enough to just have the centered at the player, and then you can use the stick to move it around. Because, yeah, it feels like the camera is like jumping around all over the place, and it's like hard to fix all these issues. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that I'm just gonna, you know, ignore this elevation thing. We're gonna grab the distance, or I mean the camera target here. And we're just gonna ignore the elevation thing, elevation part. So we could keep this code around as we don't need any of this. Well, we need the player body. And we'll just do fake. I mean, we could do bottom to have it maybe... No, let's do center. I mean, we could have it offset so that it's not showing so much at the bottom, because, well, if you're at the bottom of the map, it doesn't matter, though. You're still gonna be bounded. let's just do the center of the player. I mean, when I'm playing the game, I'm not actually bothered at all by the vertical movement of the camera. Except in this part, because it feels like it should be like... It feels like the window is slightly too small for this. But here, like, I'm not actually bothered by the movement of the camera here. I don't know, maybe many players will be, I don't know. Maybe that comes up as like a feedback if I get to that point. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother with this. And if you want to see more, you can do this. And then I think I should enable being able to look up as well. Yeah. So we'll do that. This one. I'll just wait. Oh, this, yeah. I'll just do it like this. And that should be fine. Okay. But yeah, I think, yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. So we didn't get much done. I mean, we did a bunch of... we did fix this, though, which is really nice, and it worked really well, so I'm happy with that. We did do the camera stuff, but yeah, we did this experiment, but let's just result undefined for now. May come back to this, but it's a hassle to deal with. We'll do camera centered on player for now, with added stick offset. Camera's like right stick. Okay. Alright. So we may come back to that, but I don't know. Okay, yeah, so a short one this time, but